So as we just heard, North Korea has rejected calls from South Korea to engage in diplomacy. For more on what to expect for relations between the two Koreas, we're joined by Dr. Bong Young-shik, research fellow at the Yonsei University Institute for North Korean Studies. Dr. Bong, thanks for joining us this morning.
You're welcome.
So North Korea's Kim Yo-jong said this morning that South Korea cannot be the regime's diplomatic partner. What's behind her comment?
Well, as you know, that the Supreme Leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un, made an announcement in December 2023 and early 2024 that North Korea will no longer pursue unification between two Koreas. And he redefined the inter-Korean relations as relations between two separate sovereign states in a very hostile adversarial relations. So Kim Young's message echoed the basic essence of his message that North Korea would not be interested in dealing with South Korea for the purpose of inter-Korean relations, for the ultimate purpose of unification. It'll be just a state-to-state relationship, and the preconditions for that dialogue and the cooperations to take place with the Lee Jae-myung government in South Korea installed, then South Korea has to first revise what she calls the rotten system, meaning that South Korea has to revise its constitution to define itself as a separate sovereign state from North Korea and abandon officially and permanently any desire and mechanisms of reunification. And the first step to demonstrate the goodwill on the part of South Korea will be stopping the hostile US-ROK annual joint military exercises.
I see. And the Korean government has recently been seeking to engage in talks with the North, but the regime continues to take a hardline stance against South Korea. Will North Korea continue to ignore Seoul's push to sort of ease tensions?
Well, it depends on how you define ignoring, because if North Korea is going to totally ignore Lee Jae-myung government's effort, then Kim Yo-jong and Kim Jong-un did not have to make such hostile statements in the first place, right? If you're not interested in that, you don't have to respond at all. But the fact that North Korea actually responded means that North Korea wants to pick and choose. It wants to hang South Korean government in the air, desperately hoping to see any reactivation of even minor cases of inter-Korean dialogue and cooperation, potentially in a very high cost. Meanwhile, North Korea is going to continuously play the hardball toward Lee Jae-myung of South Korea, saying that, well, you are nothing. You don't deserve any even minor seat in the diplomatic setting. We are going to only focus on the most hostile state, which is the United States, under the Trump administration. So North Korea ignoring Lee Jae-myung government's effort will be extremely strategic and selective.
See, and the Lee administration said it will also work to resume inter-Korean cooperation and intends to restore an agreement to suspend military activity along the border. Now, this is as part of the so-called September 19 agreement. Do you think this measure will be effective?
Well, it depends on how you define being effective as well. That North Korea is going to pick and choose. So if South Korea is going to propose to Pyongyang to for the resumption of the September 19th military agreement, then North Korea will have a serious look at that. And if it's more beneficial than harmful, then North Korea is going to take it. That doesn't necessarily mean that North Korea is going to fundamentally change its strategic position in favor of the resumption of talks and cooperation with South Korea under the Lee Jae-myung government. Again, North Korea's focus is on the Trump administration of the United States, not South Korea.
All right, so speaking of the Trump administration, will Lee Jae-myung's summit with Trump in Washington next week open the door for talks with Kim Jong-un?
I think so, because the Trump administration has persistently emphasized that it remains interested in resuming the high-level diplomatic engagement with North Korea, as it did in the first term of the Trump presidency. So in that context, and South Korean government would want to secure the understanding and support of the Trump administration that South Korea is going to take part in any diplomatic overtures between Pyongyang and Washington. So what I expect to see in the upcoming summit meeting between President Lee Jae-myung of South Korea and President Trump of the United States is that probably in the part of the joint statement after the summit meeting, both government would emphasize the 2018 Panmunjom Declaration in order to secure the voice and representation of South Korea in the future diplomatic developments involving North Korea and the 2018 Singapore summit meeting as a baselines for future US DPRK diplomatic negotiations.
I see. I guess we'll have to see how that goes. All right, Dr. Bong, thank you so much for your insight today. We appreciate it.